the message you had for them in there?
Yeah, we'll always keep those things in house. But one thing was good to get a win.
I think most Philadelphia Eagles fans were hoping for today to be a get-right game, and that is exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles had today in their victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. But what I don't think people were expecting was a shutout of the Las Vegas Raiders, and that's exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles delivered, cruising to a 31-0 victory on Sunday afternoon. Welcome to the Bird's Nest Podcast. I'm Joe Donahue. Thank you so much for joining us. This Philadelphia Eagles team definitely deserves a huge amount of credit for beating up on a team that they absolutely should beat. And this is one of the times where I'm going to say that this is unlike the Philadelphia Eagles 2023 season, because in that season, the Philadelphia Eagles were unable to defeat teams that they should beat, right? The Philadelphia Eagles were bad on both sides of the football. In this season, the Philadelphia Eagles defense continues to be dominant, even when the offense has been finding struggles. And we saw that in absolute action today. The Philadelphia Eagles, again, were able to defeat a team that they absolutely should beat. And not just beat, but beat up on the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 2-12 after today's loss and are definitely fighting for the number one draft pick. Now, I want to give a very, very healthy dose of realism here before we start breaking into this game and diving into all of the details of this game and everything. But the Philadelphia Eagles played a team that is now 2-12. So we don't want to write off the fact that it's a win, and it's sometimes very difficult to get wins in the NFL. But we also don't want to get super excited, because this team definitely still has opportunity to show us that they really have righted the ship offensively. So we'll still, in my book, I'm taking a wait and see approach for the remainder of the season. If the Eagles are able to build off of this win, then I think that that's going to be a really, really good harbinger of things to come. But if this was a one-off, now we're really back to square one. So we'll obviously take a look and see what's going on here with that. But for this game, again, we can enjoy the win. Just make sure that we're not getting super elated. Now, as for this Philadelphia Eagles offense, again, most of the concern about this team has been correctly pointed at the Eagles offense. And the offense has done a really good job over the course of this game. They were dropping 387 total net offensive yards on the Las Vegas Raiders defense. They were really clicking in the run game. Again, they had 183 rushing yards. They had 204 net passing yards on the day as well, so that's always a good sign to see. We'll touch on the passing game in a moment, but collectively, the Eagles had 183 net rushing yards and 204 net passing yards. Again, really, really good. I also want to point out the Philadelphia Eagles were exceptional on third downs. They were 10 for 13 on third down conversions, which is a 77% conversion rate, and definitely one of the higher rates on this season. The Philadelphia Eagles have not been good on third downs, and we've talked about the reasons why that has been the case over the course of this season. But the Eagles did do a really good job in converting on third downs. Additionally, the Philadelphia Eagles were 3 for 5 in the red zone, which is just as important because the Philadelphia Eagles needed to, again, demonstrate that they were able to close out drives, and they were able, when they got down into those short yardage situations, that they were able to find the end zone. And for the most part, again, they did. There was one, when the game mattered, there was one drive that ended in an unfortunate Dallas Goedert drop that if he hauls that in, this game is even more of a victory in the Eagles' favor. Now, there are no degrees of victory in the NFL. A win is a win, but the Eagles would have won by more compared to what they actually won. Now, let's also take a look at Jalen Hurts, who, to put it mildly, did not have a great game last week, and he really turned it around this week. In the passing game, he was 12 for 15 for 175 yards, which is an 80% completion rate. The 3 incompletions, really, I didn't think were his fault. The Philadelphia Eagles receivers that were on the other ends of those really did not haul it in, and a lot of those were surefire passes. So the fact that Jalen was as good as he was almost perfect in the passing game. He was sacked once, no turnovers by the Philadelphia Eagles at all in this game, gives Jalen Hurts a passer rating of 154.9, which is one of his higher passer ratings on this season. Definitely a stark turnaround compared to the 30-something that he had last week. But Jalen was also very present in the run game. Jalen had 7 carries for 39 yards. And he was able to, again, go back to using his legs to extend the drive, to extend the down, to be able to try and get some opportunities for the Philadelphia Eagles. Elsewhere in the run game, Saquon Barkley was 22 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown, which was very helpful. Tank Bigsby had 17 carries for 57 yards. Tank Bigsby actually had an opportunity late in the game to get his first touchdown as a Philadelphia Eagle, but unfortunately was stopped on 4th down. That was the other time that the Eagles made it into the red zone late in the game and was stopped on the Raiders' 2-yard line. So Tank Bigsby continues to wait for his first touchdown as a Philadelphia Eagle. But again, the Philadelphia Eagles did what they needed to do, and you can't fault the team for dropping 31 points on a team that the Eagles should drop 31 points on. This game was over by the end of the third quarter, so much so that the people who were calling for Jalen Hurts to be benched got their wish. Not because Jalen Hurts was playing poorly, but because the game was over after 3 quarters. Tanner McKee was given the opportunity to pilot the ship for the majority of the fourth quarter. He was 3 for 3 in the passing game for 33 yards. He also had a carry for 9. But it was good seeing the Hurts-Goddard connection really blossoming in today's game. Hurts was able to connect with Goddard 6 times on 7 targets. The one target that he missed was the target that would have given Dallas Goedert his 3rd touchdown. Goddard had to settle for 2 touchdowns on the day and 70 yards. So Goddard was fine. And really a lot of the other receivers, again, we only saw 15 passes, but the Philadelphia Eagles were able to keep that strong connection going with those receivers as well. Turning now to the defensive side of the football, which, again, really impressive to basically keep the Raiders from showing up in this game at all. The Philadelphia Eagles, in addition to holding the Raiders to 0 points, held the Raiders to fewer than 100 total net offensive yards. The Raiders were held to 75 yards. The Raiders were 3 for 12 on 3rd down, which, again, that's a get-right opportunity there, because that was an area of concern that I had for this Philadelphia Eagles team after the LA Chargers, was that the Eagles defense didn't seem to be able to get off the field on 3rd down. Obviously, that's not the case today. And that 75 total net offensive yards line, that is the fewest allowed yards by the Philadelphia Eagles since 1955 when the Eagles played the Chicago Cardinals. So you can take that for what you will. The Eagles held former Eagles quarterback and Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett to 15 for 25 on the day for 64 yards. Kenny Pickett was picked off once by Zac Baun, which really helped ice the game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Kenny Pickett was also sacked 4 times. He was sacked by Nolan Smith, Moro Ojomo, and twice by Brandon Graham, who becomes the oldest Eagle in Eagles history to record a sack on an opposing quarterback, and Brandon Graham did it twice in the game. But you could really see the absolute dominance by this Eagles team. The Kobe Dean was very present, 8 combined tackles. Cooper DeJean and Jordan Davis were also in the mix there. We talked a little bit about Zac Baun with his 4 combined tackles and his interception. We had Adoree Jackson getting into the mix, 3 combined tackles and a pass breakup. But the Eagles' defense really, really shone today, and that is evidenced by the fact that they held a team with 2 wins on the season to 0 points. And again, it's the Raiders. Don't get too excited about this victory, but it is very difficult to be able to shut a team out in the NFL. That very rarely happens. And even if this were a 31-10 victory, I think we would probably be singing much of the same song here. But congratulations to the Eagles defense in particular for doing their part in holding the Raiders offense to a whopping nothing. And that really helps the Eagles offense too. Again, Nick Sirianni likes to talk about this being the ultimate team sport. That's kind of one of his mantras over the course of this season.
We had no doubt we had a good offense and defensive game, good team performance. Excited to be able to do that and look to build upon that.
And the fact that the Eagles defense was able to keep the Raiders from getting any momentum meant that the Eagles offense was really able to find a groove and was really able to click and was able to control this game from start to finish. And that, I think, is one of the conundrums of this season. The Philadelphia Eagles have had multiple opportunities over the course of this season so far where they could have had a victory like this. Maybe not a shutout, but definitely something that could have been as dominant or as decisive as the Philadelphia Eagles had over the Las Vegas Raiders today. I'm thinking of a number of opportunities where the Eagles were playing really one half of the football, say, for example, the Eagles' victory over the LA Rams or the Eagles' victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or even some of the Eagles' losses. For example, the Eagles lost to the Denver Broncos. The Eagles have had opportunities over the course of this season where they have been able to put their foot on the gas and really control and shut down opposing teams, and they really haven't up until this point. This is probably the most comfortable I've felt watching an Eagles game really all season. So, mad props to this Philadelphia Eagles team for coming away with a much-needed victory, stops a 3-game losing streak, and gives the Eagles something to build upon as we're moving into these final weeks of the season when you really want to be playing your best football. The Eagles have opportunities over the course of these next 3 weeks to continue to deliver these kinds of decisive victories. The Eagles will be facing the Washington Commanders twice over the course of these next couple of weeks. And the Commanders are, again, not a good team. They did defeat the New York Giants today. The Giants are 2-12, but the Commanders are 4-10 on the season right now after their victory over the New York Giants today. The Eagles will face the Commanders twice, and they will face the Bills in between those two matchups. And the fact that the Eagles are facing the Bills, that's probably going to be the Eagles' toughest test of these final weeks of the season. But hopefully with this victory over the Las Vegas Raiders, that they're able to turn something around and they're able to continue to build on what worked for this week, for this offense, for this team, and be able to propel this team forward. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles' magic number to clinch the NFC East is down to 2, which means if the Eagles win 2 more games, the Eagles win 1 more game and the Cowboys lose 1 more game, or the Cowboys lose 2 more games, the Philadelphia Eagles will be crowned NFC East champions, making them repeat NFC East champions for the first time since 2004-2005 when the Eagles went to Super Bowl 39, which is also the last time that the NFC East has had repeat NFC East champions. The Eagles are in a good spot right now off of this victory. Definitely a lot more to look forward to. But there's an opportunity for this team to build upon this victory and hopefully become repeat NFC East champions for the first time in 20 years. But as always, let me know what you think in the comments below. What were your thoughts about this game? What stood out to you? What are you hoping for as the Philadelphia Eagles move into the final 3 games of the season? Let me know. And thank you so much to everyone for tuning into the Bird's Nest Podcast. You can support the Bird's Nest Podcast by liking and subscribing to Bird's Nest Media right here on YouTube, as well as by sharing to your social media pages. You can also find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, the Odyssey app, and iHeartRadio. Please visit birdsnestmedia.com for additional Eagles and NFL coverage. And if you feel so inclined to support us in a different way, you can find the link to our Patreon in the description below or at birdsnestmedia.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's go Eagles!